Hey, how's it going out there, everybody? Gun Psychiatrist here. So recently I got a stream of emails in from some young, just starting out gunsmiths that asked me what I prefer to use for a gunsmithing workbench. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to show you on a budget how to make a gunsmithing workbench, or at least one that I've been using for years. And I can't tell you how many gunsmithing shops I've been in where the poor armors are sitting there trying to work on these rickety workbenches that work, but they're rickety. They bounce around, they move around every time they try to do something on a gun. And I can understand how frustrating that is. So what I'm going to do today in these videos is I'm going to show you out there how to build a gunsmithing workbench on a budget. We're going to make 2 foot by 8 foot long workbenches. And so all the studs that you're going to see going in the middle, those are going to be cut at 21 inches. Because we need 24 inches overall. The pieces on each end are going to be 1.5 inches thick, so that adds 3 inches. So they're going to be 21 inches wide on the studs, and then the pieces, of course, are going to be 8 feet long. And it's really basic to make these, and once you get them fastened in and secured to the studs in your wall, these things are not going to bounce around on you, and they're super strong and can take anything you throw at them. So let's give it a look. So now that we have those cut, we need to go ahead and start laying out the frame and then fastening the pieces into the frame. The frame's only going to be 8 feet long. So what we're going to do is we're going to have 2 end pieces in between the frame portion, and then we're going to have 3 studs evenly spaced out in the middle of that. So I'm going to go and show you how I like to lay it out. And I bring both of them together, make all my marks, then spread them apart and go from there. Alright, so now that we got the first bench built, we'll go ahead and move this piece of plywood on top of that and cut the piece of plywood down right in half at 2 feet. So it'll be 8 feet long by 2 feet wide, and then we'll fix it to the top of this bench surface, and then we'll commence building the other bench from the level surface. Sometimes when you do it on concrete, it can have a tendency to get a little unlevel, so it's best to do it as most level surface as you can. This is just like building any type of wall out there. And I also think it's fair to mention, this bench isn't just for gunsmiths. You can use this literally for anything. And if you notice, I'm using 2x3s. You can use 2x4s. These are really light duty benches, so I'm not concerned with strength and rigidity as much as I am cost. So if you wanted to upgrade to the 2x4s and pay the extra, 15, 20 cents per stick, you could do that. If you plan on putting vices on this workbench or drill press or any type of implements or tools that are gonna go on top that you're gonna bolt into the bench, it's best to forecast prior to building where exactly these items are going to go. What you would do is use a 2x2 or a 2x4 or a 2x6 or whatever size you would need, is you would mount this flat and level to mesh up with the underside of the bench surface. And from there, once this is screwed in between the studs, you can take any type of tooling or implements that are going to go into your workbench, drill holes through, and bolt them to the 2x4. So that way you can sacrifice a little on thinner plywood versus needing really thick plywood, which I wouldn't recommend going that anyways for like a vise. I would recommend going into solid 2 by whatever wood. That way you get a nice solid mounting surface, and that thing's not gonna crack or break or whatever to the surface of your bench. So that's just a little key point I wanted to throw in there before we go any further. So now I'm going to get this wood mounted on here, and we're going to zip this thing off at 2 foot. So now that we have the bench assembled, next thing we need to do is cut our legs. Since this one's going to be a freestanding bench that's going to mount to the wall and sit on the back of a stud, which I'll show you later, we need to measure it to the proper height that we want it. Now, since I'm sharing this with my wife, we're going to put it to where it's 32 inches high, just 1.5 inches over the current height of the computer desk that I use. So, given the fact that we have 1/2 inch plywood, we need to make our boards the measurement that's going to raise that table up to 31.5 inches. So we're going to go ahead and cut those now. Earlier I talked about implements. Now would be the time to take those 2x4s and lay them in, so that way you have space to actually bolt vices, drill presses, whatever you want to bolt into your bench. Now's the time to do it before you put the sheeting on. So for putting in and installing implements, you would take the pattern of what you need to drill in and take these 2x4s, because right now we're actually looking at the bottom. This whole part is the bottom of the workbench. This down here would be the top. Now, of course, the top's not on it. That's just the top of the other one. But what we're going to do is we're just going to flip this thing upside down and call it good. So if you want something down on the left side of your workbench, you need to put these on the right side, because remember, this is going to flip and you're going to be upside down. So at this event, I want these to be on the right side of my workbench, so I'm installing them on the left. Alright, so that's the bench. Now the skeleton is made. What we're going to do now is we're going to take it inside, we're going to mount the support beam, and then we're going to just drop the legs in, check the level, and start running screws in until we have the bench done. This is pretty much how you set this thing. This is why I like this design, because it's a one-man design. It doesn't really take anything at all to set this. Now you see why we make these so tight. fitted workbench. As you can see, it's sturdy, it works, there's plenty of space, and this is what I've been using for years for gunsmithing activities. I hope this was informative. A lot of people have been asking me the question, what do you use for a gunsmithing workbench? How do you know? This is my solution, and it's cheap. Like I said, this is one of the most sturdiest benches that you're going to get, and they can literally take a serious abusing. I have done some serious hammering on stuff before on these benches, and they don't even bulge. So I hope that was informative. If you found this informative or helpful at all, please think about taking that subscribe button, like right there. Please hit that subscribe button, like this, and share it around with your friends. We appreciate it. Do catch us on Facebook, and of course Gun Streamer. You can find me at the Gun Psychiatrist, and also our website online, the Gun Psy. That's thegunpsy.com. Hey, thanks for watching. We'll see you till next time.